In this video, I'm going to explain how to use the Fill Surface tool for surface modeling. I have this predefined geometry here with a rectangular, well, sort of rectangular shaped hole in it. And I want to fill it in, and I'll show you a few ways to do it to showcase the fill tool. So if you want to get to the fill tool, you have to go to the surface menu and then click the more button here and then go down to fill and you'll hit the fill surface. Click on that and it'll ask you to select curves to define a boundary for what you want to fill. In this case, since I'm filling in this rectangle thing here, I'm going to click on all of those. So I'm going to do that real quick. No need to middle mouse button or anything like that to move on to the next selection. You want to keep it all in one selection here. And then in shape control, I'm going to initially have it set to none, and it will simply just fill it in. If I hit OK, it'll just fill it in just like it was originally before I took that hole out. It'll even fit itself to the curvature of the cylinder here. And of course, this is a separate sheet. It did not union or any Boolean operation to this red cylindrical sheet. I have to go in and do that manually through the sew tool. And to do that, you just sew it and then it becomes a singular sheet object. Okay, cool. So that's one little thing you can do with the fill surface, although it is a pretty cool tool because you can have the fill surface follow different profiles. So in this scenario, let me pull that back up and I will show you. I made a spline that goes from one corner of the rectangle to another in this weird kind of curvature. And I want this fill surface to follow that curvature as it fills in the hole here. And I can do that through shape control. If I hit the method fit to curve and then I select that spline I made, you can see it uses that curve and it expands out a bit to reach that spline. And in the process, it creates this three-dimensional surface that reaches out past the profile of the cylinder. If you wanted to, you can also mess around with the default edge continuity. I messed around with it before, and it doesn't really show up well in this example, but you can change it to be tangent, and that will change how it connects with the surface it's filling in. You can mess around with it based on what you're trying to achieve, and that could give you better results as well. You can also change the continuity up here. I'm not currently able to at the moment, but that's another thing you might be able to mess around with. You can also change the method. Fullness is kind of similar. You can pull, well, first off, there's a little point that you can move around just by dragging it. Ooh. And you can also, I pulled it the opposite direction. You can pull from that point, and by pulling from that point, you can change the shape of this filled in sheet. It's a little bit fun to play with. It's almost like sculpting in a way. You can really mess around with it a bit. So that's another way. You can also fit to facet bodies. I've never really messed with this, so I'm not even going to bother explaining it. But yeah, those are some uses and cool things you can do with the fill surface tool.